And we are live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special live edition of 27 Outs. It's been quite some time since I was able to do a live show here with you guys. Of course, I'm Ivan alongside Stefan, and I'm back, guys. I'm back. Well, if you guys have paying attention to the channel and the content that we put out on a weekly basis, you would already have known that I've been back now, not for a long time, but this isn't my first piece of content being back on. But yeah, it feels great. I think today's show is gonna be special. Shout out to you, Stefan, for allowing me to do tonight's intro. I think this is a very hot topic, not only in the baseball world, but I think a lot of people, not only the Yankees themselves, but I think baseball fans, Yankee fans, you name it, everyone has questions that need to be answered.
All right, well, I'm going to do your best to answer those questions, but I'm going to be very honest. I'm a very ticked off individual. I'm very ticked off. And the reason why I'm ticked off, what's up, everybody? What's going on? Happy Sunday, all that good shit. The reason why I'm ticked off is because the fan base of this franchise does not understand how good they have it. Yes, they're struggling right now. Yes, they're going through things right now. Yes, we're not playing up to the capabilities right now. All this is true. I'm not here to deny it. But you can easily have been the fans of the 1990 Yankees. You could easily have been fans of the 1991 Yankees.
And I know exactly what he's referring to. So
you could easily have been and I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about, look at the records. Go for yourself. Go on Baseball Reference. Go look at those records, how bad they were.
Right.
And you have the audacity
to call this bad.
Are you kidding me?
It's not even close.
It's not even close to bad. Now, listen, what I'm saying to you guys is this. They had a winning record for the last 30 seasons. This year's no exception. Right? Now, do you want it to look a certain way? Absolutely. I'm not here to dispute that. But let's not act like this is the worst team we've seen, because here's the reality of it.
Last season wasn't even the worst team we saw.
No, and I'm going to be honest with you, right? We have to come to grips with the reality that there's more equality in baseball. Everybody's equal. You're on equal footing now. The money really doesn't matter because every team's got money. If you choose to spend it, you can be successful.
Right.
And look at the teams that don't spend money, that are constantly remaking themselves every year and stay in the mix every year. At some point, we have to stop playing this game of feel bad for us, play the victim as Yankee fans. Oh, we don't spend enough. Oh, we don't do enough. No, we're Yankee fans, but I'm here to tell you, the fan base is where my anger lies right now.
Yeah.
And with that, I want you to get into your point, and then we'll volley this back and forth and see where we go.
I'm glad you brought up the money aspect, Stefan, because the one thing that I think Yankee fans are getting confused, and not just this season, but over the past couple of seasons, there was this narrative that the Yankees aren't willing to spend money, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but Garrett Cole got himself a bag from the Yankees. Aaron Judge also got a bag from the Yankees. When the Yankees decided to trade for Giancarlo Stanton, like they had to pick up a decent amount of what was left on that deal. So I don't know where fans are getting this from. I certainly am not one of those fans who thinks like that. And yes, I know Stefan said it a couple of minutes ago. I am wearing a Yankee jersey. Now is not the best time to be wearing this, but it definitely suits today's show. But in addition to what I've already said, so now with the second half officially underway, the Yankees, they won, I believe it was game 1, right, against the Rays.
Friday
lost
night,
game
yeah.
2, and then again lost game 3 today. So they look, I mean, I know you want to give them at least a few more games, but you really can't though, right? Because they've been playing this way for about a month and a half now, which is alarming. It's alarming. Now, they're lucky a team like the Baltimore Orioles has their own issues where they haven't been able to pick up as much ground as they would like. So the Yankees have that working in their favor. However, this current team does not look like they are World Series bound. And quite frankly, they don't look like they could make much noise in the postseason. I mean, if I'm wrong, comment below and please let us know, especially me, with this being my point. I'm sure Stefan is going to agree with it, but this team isn't scary. I mean, we talked about it. We got a group chat, Stefan, along with some other people as well. And I think it was yesterday. There was a video that was out. Severino was being interviewed, and they were saying that how he's like in some sort of group chat with a couple of Yankees. And he pretty much told them what I think is actually the truth. And it's kind of crazy how it took an ex-Yankee who is no longer with the team and is now playing in Queens rather than the Bronx, shouted the team out in that way where he pretty much said, yo, you guys only have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. There's nobody else in that lineup right now, as it is currently constructed, that puts fear in my heart. That's a problem. I'm not saying that 1 through 9, you have to put fear in a pitcher's heart, but there has to be more than what we're being shown. There has to be more. And I know it's not with this current crop of guys. Deals have to be made. And Stefan, one thing that you and I have talked about, and we are going to get into it on today's show, is fans, you guys have to understand the Yankees are not going to make as many moves as you would like for them to make. They might make 1, 2, maybe 3 if we're lucky, but they're not going to go out there and fix everything that you believe is a hole. Stefan, I mean, add on to that. Tell me what you feel about, what I said. And of course, before you get into that, Stefan, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. And of course, the YouTube, what you guys are watching today's show from. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet.
Let me be very frank with this. I don't think them making any moves are gonna matter, because here's what I'm gonna tell you. I don't think there's really significant moves out there to be made, other than maybe if you talk to a Tampa Bay, other than maybe if you talk to a Miami, because all these other teams are in the mix. So I don't see a team just generally saying, "Oh, we're gonna just give it up." I know the Cubs are one of the teams you can talk to, but listen, Yankee fans expecting them to fix their entire roster at the trade deadline, that's not realistic. Let me just point that out there right now. What the Yankees need to focus on, you need to get at least 2 relievers. I'd like to see 2 relievers at the back end of the bullpen. I'd like to see you figure out what you're doing with the middle of the lineup. Are you going to go out and get another bat? Because preferably, I think that's what you need right now. I could give you a couple of options, but here's where the Yankees have to get realistic. Now is not the time for play and play. You can't, no play right now. Prospects are prospects for a reason. Ship those kids off and let's get some veterans in here. Because here's the reality of it. You only got 2.5 months left of Juan Soto being on the Yankees, and then you have to reevaluate. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This may alarm some people. This may even alarm you. At the end of the season, win, lose, or draw, I'm letting Juan Soto walk.
Wow. That's a bold statement.
I'm going to repeat that. At the end of the season, win, lose, or draw, I'm letting Juan Soto walk. Because
so let me. Okay, I was gonna ask you, could you tell us why you would let him walk regardless?
Right. Here's why I'm gonna let him walk regardless. Because I think win, lose, or draw, you got to start this rebuild. You got to start ushering in the next wave of Yankee baseball. And I granted they gave up a lot, but did they really? Michael King's been okay for the Padres. It's not like he's setting the world on fire. We gave up 2 bullpen pieces in Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito. Johnny Brito's not in the starting staff. They're okay. Kyle Higashioka's been okay. Typical Kyle Higashioka. Nothing to get crazy about. So what did the Yankees really give? Drew Thorpe? Drew Thorpe got sent to Chicago in the Dylan Cease trade. So Drew Thorpe wasn't even in San Diego for 5 minutes before San Diego was like, we're shipping you to Chicago.
Right.
So when everybody says, well, the Yankees gave up a lot to get him, did you really? Did you really? Because let me ask you this question. Are you fully prepared to pay Juan Soto to be in the middle of this decrepit lineup right now? Are we doing this? Are you paying him 500, maybe close to 600 million to be in the middle of this lineup? I don't know. I don't know if he wants to stay. I don't know if he wants to put up with what's happening right now with the Yankees.
Right. And that's a great point. I want to add on to what you just said, Stephen, quickly, because really think about it for a second, right, guys? So let's say, it's November, December. The regular season is up. Postseason baseball has wrapped up. We already know who won the World Series. And the Yankees are, of course, having conversation with Juan Soto, as we all hope that they would be doing later this year. But let's say you bring him back and you don't address the rest of the lineup or the rest of the bullpen, as Stefan mentioned, right? And I agree with you, Stefan. I'm glad you actually explained it in that way because it makes perfect sense. Bringing Juan Soto for that long and at that price without addressing the rest of the issues that you currently have, what are you really doing? You're not doing anything because Juan Soto is not going to get any better. I'm sorry. And even if he were, he can't do the damn thing alone, nor can Judge. So I told you this. I told you this the other day, Stefan, and I'm going to say it again here. I think that if the Yankees, I'm not saying that they have to make a Juan Soto type move, right? And I told you this in person, Stefan, but they have to make at least one or two meaningful moves. I mean, significant, like where you hear about it and it's like, oh, all right, like these guys are all in.
So when you say meaningful moves, let me just throw two names at you. One of the names that I think to me is interesting because I'm ready to move on from Alex Verdugo. He was good early on, but he's in an 0 for 28. This guy hasn't hit a ball in like 4 weeks.
Right.
If you want to talk about significant and serious, I'm going to get Michael Kopech and Luis Robert from the White Sox. And if they want Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez, go with God. Go with God. At this point, go with God.
So you're telling me that you're okay with departing with both or one over the other?
Go with God. You can have the both of them. Go with God. Go ahead.
All right, we might as well just make that a slogan for the Yankees the rest of the season. Go with God.
At this point, like, so you hang on to one, right? You hang on to one. Let's say they hang on to Dominguez because he's played in the big leagues before. I'm here to tell you, Jason Dominguez is not playing again this year.
Wow. Okay.
I've heard from a few people over the last couple of days. He has a very severe oblique strain. He just started feeling like, okay, I can throw. I'd be surprised if he plays for the Yankees in any significant way this year. Because you
don't see it maybe like midway through September. Maybe he plays the last couple of weeks to gear up for the postseason.
Okay.
And that's if they're still in the playoff picture.
That's the other thing, right? At that point, do I even want him taking a risk of getting hurt if the Yankees aren't even in the mix?
Right.
Right? And at this point, listen, I hate to say it because you know how I feel about Jason Dominguez. I love the dude. But everybody's tradable. Jones, Dominguez, everybody's movable. Because at this point, here's the reality of it, right? I'm not going to say people's jobs are on the line because that's a tied narrative and nobody's moving nowhere. But if you're serious about trying to preserve the ability to keep Juan Soto, and that should be your number one objective, you got to get people around him other than Aaron Judge. Like, I like Ben Rice, but Ben Rice is not a number 4 hitter.
Right.
Ben Rice is not a cleanup hitter. Like, you got some things you got to figure out, right? So, if I'm the Yankees, I'd love to see them do a few things. Jonathan India is a name that I would love to add from Cincinnati. If the Reds are out of it, go get Jonathan India. The Reds have a bunch of infielders.
Here's what I think, and I know we're gonna get into a few more names in addition to Jonathan India, like you mentioned, Stefan.
Right.
But for me personally, now if you guys, maybe think otherwise, let us know what you think. Again, that's why there's a comment section. Feel free to tell us everything about what we're talking about, right? Whether you agree, disagree, if there's something that we didn't touch on, feel
Right.
free to drop a comment below. The two things that I do not want to see come August, come September,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see Clay Holmes out there as the closer. That's one. And I'm going to be honest, I can't see the Yankees waste at bats giving DJ LeMahieu these opportunities to be in the lineup. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand what he did in the second half. A lot of people thought it wasn't exactly who he once was for the Yankees, but it was definitely a positive sign, right? Um, I'm here to say that he's not that same guy. He's never going to be that guy. In fact, he's not even going to be the guy that who had that decent second half in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So those two things for me, like, are an absolute must. It has to be addressed. Now, there's more, but as we just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we have to be realistic, guys. This is not a video game. The Yankees are not going to acquire this guy, acquire that guy, move on from this guy, move on from that guy. It's just not going to turn out like that, right? But if you could perhaps move 2 to 3 pieces, and listen, it may not be everything that you needed to do, but the fact that you focused on some of the more important things is what's going to matter most down the line.
Mm-hmm. What I will say is this, and I'm a little crazy. If I can get another starter, I'm doing it.
Or that.
Like if I can send Nestor Cortez out of here, he's out of here. I'm finding somewhere to send your ass. Like you're goodbye. Goodbye. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. At this point, right, this is where cash has to get creative because I don't think there's gonna be a robust market. I don't. You know me, I've been doing this a long time.
Right.
And I kind of get the sense because me and you talk all the time. All right. We talk all the time off the air. We talk all the time on the air, obviously. I don't see this trade deadline being as significant as people would like it to be because of the second and third wild cards.
Yeah.
Teams still believe that they're in it. So why would they forego a chance to make the playoffs, to make a run, to do something? Because you always have the Arizona Diamondbacks as the shining example of if we get hot, this could be this.
Right.
Right? So teams are not just going to sell off pieces just because we want them to sell off pieces. That's not how this is going to work.
And neither are the Yankees. I know
Right.
a lot of people don't want to see Rizzo anymore. A lot of
Right.
people don't want to see LeMahieu, as I mentioned. A lot of people don't want to see Gleyber Torres.
Right. And
I'm sorry to tell you guys.
Rizzo, when
at
Rizzo
least
comes
2
back,
out of 3 of those guys are still going to be on the roster after the deadline.
I was just about to tell you, when Rizzo comes back, Rizzo's going to be your starting first baseman. You may not like that, but the Yankees are always going to ride with the veteran. How many years have we seen that? Especially if you got a chance to make the playoffs. Listen, as much as they love Ben Rice, if Anthony Rizzo is healthy and on the field, they're riding with him.
Mm-hmm.
DJ LeMahieu is a completely different case because this is an extended. The dude, he hits ground balls for a living. If he don't hit a ground ball, he's not hitting the ball, right? So at that point, he's useless. And Gleyber Torres is a goddamn space cadet at this point. He's out there, but he's not out there, right? So with him, you just like, well, damn. How much more do we got to do this? And this is why I'm going to tell you. Second base to me is an area of need. Third baseman, you know what? I don't mind Oswaldo Cabrera for the rest of the season then at that point. Because you can't fill every hole. So you have to prioritize what means more to you.
Right.
Do you really? And listen, Jorvit Vivas, the kid that the prospect they got in the Dodger deal when they sent this guy to the Dodgers. When they made that, they made a trade and they got back Jorvit Vivas, Caleb Ferguson, and they sent a lefty to Los Angeles. I forgot his name. But they got pieces. You know what I'm saying? Jordan Vivas can play second and can play third. You can play him at either one of those positions. You're not feeling this with everybody making $20 million. Like Matt Chapman, not coming here. They ain't doing that. Vladdy, as bad as Toronto is, I don't think Toronto helps the Yankees out.
Right.
Not doing that. Unless the Yankees say, here's Spencer Jones, here's here's prospects out the wazoo.
I would do it. I would do it, man. I'm gonna be honest. I for quite some time now, I feel like the Yankees have fallen in love with their prospects. And I don't know why, because a lot of it, for the most part, hasn't been able to translate well at the major league level.
I want to just get one point out. I want to answer your why, and then I'm going to let you finish your thought. Why is very simple. Because Brian Cashman doesn't like to be referred to as somebody who buys his championships. That used to bother Brian Cashman. It used to. So his whole thought process was, I want to build this team that I made with my bare hands so they can't say that we bought this. But here's where it becomes a hypocritical argument. But you paid Stanton all that money. You paid Cole all that money. Cole wasn't yours. You paid this one all that money. If you were to give me truth serum right now, if it wasn't for Hal Steinbrenner wanting to be the Yankees, I don't think Cashman signs any free agents. Because Cashman is tired of hearing that it's all because of the money is why the Yankees win. When you could literally go to him and say, look, Brian, look at the mid-2000s when you had Giambi, you had A-Rod, you had all-stars all over the goddamn field. And you were going home in the first round most of those years.
Right.
You remember the early 2000s, Rondell White, Jose Canseco, this one, that one. They had teams all over the place. All over the place they had a team. And they didn't do nothing. A-Rod, Jeter, Matsui, Giambi. I could keep going. Johnny Damon. I could keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen them do this. Kevin Brown, Randy Johnson.
I remember all of those names.
Javier Vasquez.
Yes.
Carl Pavano. All right, I'm giving myself PTSD. I'm going to stop now.
Right.
What I'm saying is, we've seen them do this, and it hasn't worked. There has to be a happy medium somewhere. And you know what? You know where it starts? The fan base won't accept it, but you might have to just tear this down and start over again. You might have to. Because, yes, you haven't had a losing record in 30 years, but you only won one championship in the last 15 years.
Right.
But finish your thought, because I cut you off. That was rude.
Yeah, so I was referring to the Yankees and them holding on to their prospects and having these extremely high hopes is what it appears to be, I would say, because the way the Yankees hold on to them without giving them away for the right reasons is ridiculous at this point. I mean, we saw the Baby Bombers a few seasons ago, right, with Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Greg Bird, Luis Severino, all these guys came up, and the fan base damn near thought that they had their next core, right? And that fizzled out quickly. Greg Bird probably doesn't even play baseball anymore. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Luis Severino's with the Mets.
I'm going to blow your mind. You know where he is right now?
Where?
He's playing in the Australian League.
Okay, listen, man. If you still have the ability and you can still get a bag in a different part of the world, by all means, go do it. Go do it. But of course, it didn't work out here. But I mentioned those guys because, listen, enough with, and I hate to say it like this, enough with the nut hugging when it comes to Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez. Now, I'm not saying that both have to be gone, right?
Hold on. Round of applause for you. Round of applause for you.
I mean, I felt like that was appropriate because that's what it seems like they're doing.
Literally, it's and they've been doing this for years because we could go back to Andrew Brackman, Dellin Betances, Manny Banuelos. We could do this. How many years have we heard? Oh, you remember Jesus Montero?
Yes.
Yankee fans would go crazy at the thought if you were trying to include Jesus Montero in the deal. By the way, you want to know where it hurt the Yankees? Because the Yankees could have had Cliff Lee. Before he went to Philly, they could have had Cliff Lee. They could have had Garrett Cole before Garrett Cole went to Houston. They could have had Cole Hamels. They could have had a bunch of guys. But they, to use your phrase, actually my phrase, they nut hugged. And when you nut hug and you don't let your nuts hang, that's a problem. Because at some point, and I'm going to reference back to you, when your only real significant prospect that you developed in the last 25 years is Robinson Cano, that's a problem.
Wow. That's a great point, by the way.
That's a problem.
Right. Like outside of Aaron Judge, the last Yankee player who came up through their system and it panned out well, I mean, it was the perfect match. It was Robinson Cano. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Cano was the last one where you're like, oh my God, he's a Yankee. And I'm proud to see him be a Yankee.
Right.
Like, listen, as much as we're in love with Spencer Jones and the idea of Spencer Jones and the idea of Jason Dominguez, ideas are nice, but I live in reality. And the reality is, well, you ain't got time to play. See, and this is where I wish Hal was more like his father. Because I'm going to make a reference to a documentary that had showed Ivan, which is what we were referencing.
Great doc, by the way. Stephen put me on. But you guys have to check it out as well.
It's called The Bronx Zoo. It's on Peacock. And it references the 1990 Yankees. And the reason why I'm making this reference is because in the documentary, it details how George Steinbrenner was suspended from baseball for illegally digging up dirt on Dave Winfield. Now, the reason why that's important is George was a tyrant. He wanted to get rid of prospects. He tried to trade Bernie Williams like 3-4 times, right? He tried to he got rid of every Yankee prospect under the sun because he wanted to win now. You're in win now mode, right? Where at this point, I think his son is going in reverse. His son is so afraid of, yo, we get rid of this prospect and this prospect. What are we going to have left? And it's like, that's not your worry. That's not your concern. Your concern is to give the fan base the best team you could possibly give it on a nightly basis, especially with those outlandish prices you're charging for tickets. It ain't cheap to get in Yankee Stadium, folks. It's not cheap.
Right. You know and let's be honest, too. I could be wrong, right? But I just have a strong feeling that both Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez are not going to be playing the outfield for the Yankees for a very long time. I don't see those two guys being the two anchors in the outfield alongside Judge if Juan Soto were to walk. I just don't see it. I don't.
Right.
Now, do I see one perhaps playing the outfield longer than the other? Yes. And I say that because I'm okay with one being on the move now.
Right.
Like, I don't understand why the Yankees are treating as if like this opportunity that they got with Juan Soto is, dude, you don't know if there's a part 2 to this. You don't know if the guy genuinely wants to come back. Like, you just don't know. So you have to treat it for what it is and go all in. Listen, if you're not going all in, then what's the point?
Talk about it. Talk about it. Because how many times have I said on this show, in our group chat, other places, Ray's has heard me say this. Ray's a comment if I'm lying. At this point, you either got to take a shit or get up off the boat. We hearing that. Because there's another owner across the river that says, yo, here's 600 M's guaranteed. I don't care how good, bad the Mets are. That's 600 M's.
Right.
Even if the Mets don't sign him, just the thought that the Mets could be in the mix to give him 600 M's and you don't even come nowhere close, that's a problem. That's a significant problem. Again, whether the Mets bid for him or not, that's another conversation for another day. But there's another owner across the river that could say, they offered you 450 what? All right, here's another 150. Tell them you said, yo, good luck. Whether they do it or not is an irrelevant point. But just the threat of it being out there.
Right.
Of Cohen waking up one day and saying, hold up. I get to watch this Dominican stud in the middle of my nigga going to the bank like, yo, send the bricks truck to this nigga's house.
Right.
Tell him we got him. We got you, dog. And if you the Yankees, knowing that level of competition is out there, you can't. This ain't for play. This ain't for play right now. And the reality is, if I'm being honest, the Yankee brand is not what it used to be. Nobody cares about the Yankee brand anymore.
Far from it.
If you ain't winning, they don't care. And here's where I'm gonna listen. We're gonna get into a couple names, and then I'm gonna get into the Judge thing because I want to wrap this up pretty soon here. There's only a few names that I think the Yankees could really use. Christian Walker in Arizona, that's a nice thought. Him playing first base, that's a nice thought. But do the D-backs move on from him? Don't know. Especially if the D-backs feel like they're in it. If they can make a run, I ain't mad at it. If do Toronto turn around and say, yo, Vladdy Guerrero's available? Do the Yankees do that? Does Cash do that? Is that enough to put in the middle of your lineup? If the White Sox were, if you were to call Chicago, Michael Kopech, Luis Robert, Garrett Crochet, is that enough? Don't know. Other players got to step up on his team. Volpe, you're young, but all right, enough.
Right.
Enough. Because Gunnar Henderson's your same age, and he's out here at All-Star games.
Damn near an MVP candidate.
Killing people. Enough of the nut hugging. Because I was the guy, oh, give him a year. He's young yet. No, the honeymoon expired. Because you know what? You could be traded too. Like, I ain't got time to play with you. We all talk about Torres. Anthony Volpe has a 664 OPS. You know what his OPS was last year? 666. Ain't got time. There ain't no time for play.
Yeah.
No more. Oh, we gotta see. We gotta give it time. No, ain't no time for that. And I want to know what you think about this. Because you know what this shows me? This shows me Aaron Judge ain't captain material. You could say that that's unfair to say. It's an unfair criticism. It's unfair. I'm about to do the thing that I hate that people do. But I'm a hypocrite, damn it. I'm a hypocrite. We all hypocrites. I'll admit it. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a fraud. You think Derek Jeter lets this happen if this is Derek Jeter's team?
No, I don't think so.
Say that a little louder for the people in the back.
I don't think so. I don't think that this would be happening if Derek Jeter were a part of what's happening right before our eyes. And like you said a couple of minutes ago, if George was still in charge. You know, I know a lot of people are still stuck on I guess the quote unquote glory days of what were the late 90s, the early 2000s, the 2009, but I'm sorry to say, but that is not reality anymore when it comes to the Yankees.
No.
Like the Yankees being a lock to make it to the World Series is no longer a reality. The Yankees being a legitimate threat in the American League every season is it seems like it is reality because they always find a way to make it into the postseason. But we all know that it's more than just clinching a playoff berth. It's more than just that. Is that what the Yankees have become? Let's just finish above 500, clinch a playoff berth, and that's it.
You know why that's what they become? Because, see, I'm about to do this. Thank God there's no fucking bleep button on this podcast, so I can just say whatever I want. Yeah, I can't get bleeped for it, but you raise it, we might have some incoming problems. I'm just letting you know, but I don't give a fuck. winning is not their obsession anymore. They're not willing to die on the field to win anymore. They're not willing to die in the front office to win anymore. The Steinbrenners are not willing to sell their souls in a figurative sense to win anymore. The kid Steinbrenners, you gotta understand, the kid Steinbrenner's an economist. He knows he don't want to lose money. He don't want to lose money. He went to fucking business school. You think the guy wants to lose money? No. So to them, I think it's, the Yankee brand is strong. We're still going to get 4 million people in the ballpark every year. Whether we win or lose a championship, we can say that's the mission statement because that's what the fans want to hear. But is it really the mission statement when you look at the last couple seasons? What have they done to make you believe that this World Series is a bust for them?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Me as a fan, I've been over that World Series of bust mentality for a few years now. But I think a lot of fans are still holding on to that, and I don't know why. Because the Yankees aren't even operating as they once did. In order for that to be a reality, in order for that to be what you expect out of them year in, year out.
You want to hear? There's a saying. You ever heard? You're gonna believe what you hear, or you're gonna believe what your eyes are telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could talk to that blue in the face. Yo, World Series a bust. World Series a bust. World Series a bust. Bro, when's the last time it was World Series a bust for y'all? We y'all seriously said, yo, we want to go win a championship. We're sacrificing. Listen, if this was George, LeMahieu's not on this team.
Oh man, so many guys wouldn't be a part of this team anymore.
Gallo wouldn't have been on the team for as long as he was. Donaldson's another case. Stan wouldn't even be here right now.
Right. Torres would be gone. A lot of guys would have been gone.
So if you're serious about winning, I would DFA Gleyber Torres tomorrow. Yo, my boy, we can't even trade you. Here's your walking papers. Go play in Venezuela. Get away from me, man.
I wanna share some numbers that you shared with me earlier today, Stefan. And I think now that we're doing the show, it makes the perfect sense to really get into this, right? So since June 13th, right? It's a little over a month now. The Yankees are 10-21. 10 wins and 21 losses over the past month. That's a problem.
Hold on. Say that again for the people in the back. Say it again for the people in the back, bro.
Since June 13th, the Yankees are 10-21 over the past month. That's 11 games below 500. That's the type of baseball they've been playing lately.
By the way, you want to hear something sick? You want to know what their batting average is as a team over the last month? 185.
Wow.
185.
Right.
You want to know what Alex Verdugo's batting average is the last 3 weeks?
110 or less?
Like 075. He's 0 for 27. He hasn't gotten a hit in 3 weeks.
Damn. I mean, I know he was in the slump, but I was just thinking of the batting average over the course of the past month.
Bro.
I was being generous.
He hasn't gotten a hit. He hasn't hit a ball out of the infield in about a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit here and you tell me it's World Series a bust, when you got Alex Verdugo as your 4-hole hitter, Lucy, you got some explaining to do. Explain to me how in the good goddamn name of the Yankees is Alex Verdugo hitting for?
Right. That's a problem. And we know why they have had to do that. I mean, ideally, that's not really what you want to do. But of course, with a guy like Stanton out for as long as he was out for, you kind of have to put pieces where you wouldn't necessarily do when you have all of them, right? But this team looks like the complete opposite. We're talking about a team that was the first team to 50 wins this season. It was the New York Yankees. The moment they won that 50th game, they have looked like the complete opposite. They look more like one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, and the numbers say so. Yeah. You watch a game, you'll be able to tell. You want to do your whole baseball reference and analytics and all of that? That's also going to tell you as well.
Yep.
No matter how you put it, they're
And,
bad.
And listen, I'm gonna be honest. Usually we try to color this up with graphics and video. Fuck that. They're bad. Ain't no other way to dilute it. They're bad. And the reason, the final thing I'm gonna say is, this is 95% of this is on Aaron Judge's shoulders. And I'm not talking about the play on the field. How has there not been, yo, don't sit there and say we gotta get better tomorrow. Take it on the chin. You suck and you're the leader. I don't care that you got 35 home runs and almost 90 RBIs. What does it mean? What does it mean? Stand up and be accountable and say, you know what? This is on me and it has to start with me. Don't DH. Be in center field every day. If you get hurt, the season was over anyway. Man up. And listen, I'm going to say this too, and this may offend some people. This is not on Aaron Boone. Because what do you want Aaron Boone to do? Aaron Boone can't go out and play for these guys. Aaron Boone can't go out and swing a bat.
That's another thing that I think a lot of fans have to move on from. Listen, guys, obviously we don't work for the Yankees in their front office, but the one thing that we could pretty much clarify for you, even though we don't work for the Yankees, is that Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman will not be losing their jobs midway through the season. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I hear it all the time. We've been hearing it for a couple of years. Fire Aaron Boone. Get rid of Cashman. It's not going to happen. They're already showing us. So take it for what it is, and that's it. Unfortunately, like, I hate to say that. Like, I would like for them to go out there and do what so many people want them to do, right? I would love to see that, but they're not. They're just not those Yankees anymore. Mm-hmm. So stop holding on to a glimpse of what was once reality here and focus on what's right here in front of us.
Talk about it.
Because I'm going to be honest, this trade deadline is one of the most important trade deadlines, and I don't know how long for the New York Yankees. You don't trade for Juan Soto. I get it. He only had a year left on the deal. But you don't make a trade for a player like that to barely get into the playoffs. Mm. You don't make a trade for a player like that, and you don't add on to solidify your chance at making it to the World Series. At least, forget winning it, but making it. Can we at least get there again?
Here's what I'm going to tell you, too. And here's why, if I'm Aaron Judge, how are you not going to say, you know what they're doing to your prime years, bro? You're 1 year away of missing the play. You're literally about to be Chipper Jones. You remember how great Chipper Jones was in Atlanta? He's 1 year away from being Chipper Jones. I don't care how many times you make the playoffs. You won how many division titles and won how many World Series? You're Chipper Jones.
Right.
Listen, I'm ending it right here because if we don't, we could be here another hour, and I don't really want to be here another hour.
Wait. Let's get into the comments. We got a lot of comments here, a whole lot. You want to get into that before we dip?
Yeah, we'll
I don't want anybody leaving comments and we don't even touch on it at all.
We'll read a few of them. Let's read a few of them.
All right.
Mike says that's a crazy statement. He says in reference to trading or moving on from Soto. How do you not pay a 26-year-old who's a top 5 player in the game? Well, I think I answered that pretty succinctly.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Mike, but if you listen to what we said regarding that, because I agree with you, right? Like you want to be able to hold on to a guy like Juan Soto for as long as you can, especially because he's that young. But what does it do for you if that's all that you do? It doesn't do anything for the team.
Chad says, I always thought the bullpen was the biggest area of concern from the beginning of the season. I think we agree with you, Chad. Ivan finally telling the raw truth. As Ray just says. Okay. That 1990 team drove me crazy, says Emilio.
A lot of personal issues on that 90s team, man.
Classic Stefan line, no lie. Take a shit or get off the pot. I think that's where they're at right now.
Yeah.
This one's interesting. The Yankees have given up 14 home runs to the number 9 here this year.
That's a problem.
That's a very interesting stat.
Mm-hmm. I see a couple of people here agree with you, Stefan, when it comes to DFAing Torres. Got Emilio said DFA Torres. Razor said DFA Torres.
Right. Right. I think at some point we got to get realistic with the expectations, and the expectations are not this.
But this right here is what I want to like put some emphasis on. And I said this myself, but of course, as we go through the comments before we wrap up today's show, they cannot afford to be quiet at the deadline.
See, here's where I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you, and we're leaving it like this.
Right.
Can they afford to be loud either? Is it worth it?
Really?
Is it worth it to them?
Well, right. That's the problem.
Is it worth it enough to them to where they feel like, oh, we got to do something significant? Because here's what I believe. What I believe is the Yankees only make moves if it suits them. If it gets too expensive, Cashman will get out the kitchen. He'll leave the table before he even places an order. You know what I'm saying? If it's too rich for his blood, no matter how good the food may be, he'll go to another restaurant. And we've seen him do it. And that's the analogy I leave you with.
Yeah. It's I'm sure we're this is something if because they've been playing this way for about a month and a half now, right? We spoke on that. And listen, guys, this may not be the last time that you hear us talking about the Yankees, especially if actually, no, not especially, regardless of how this season turns out, right? Whether they win the World Series or not, you're going to hear from both myself and Stefan when it comes to the Yankees, the current state of the Yankees, and everything along those lines. Okay, because there's a lot more that has to be addressed. And quite frankly, the clock is ticking. The clock is definitely ticking. The Juan Soto clock is ticking. Your chance at winning a World Series, the clock is ticking. Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, with him still battling and not genuinely looking like himself just yet.
I mean, he did on Friday. He looked filthy.
Right? I get it. I get it. But we know the real Garrett Cole.
No.
Garrett Cole is the guy who does that every fifth day.
He's starting to look like the guy that done his last 2 starts. He looked good. He looked good against the Orioles too.
And that's what we want, right? That's what Yankee fans want. But outside of Garrett Cole, ain't nobody else in that rotation that scares me.
Listen, Stroman's been a disappointing for the last month too.
Yeah.
He didn't pitch well today. He pitched decent, but he pitched well. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Like I said, we could be here another hour. I just choose not to want to be here another hour.
Yeah, let's wrap up. Of course, make sure you follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. Like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Guys, listen, I know you left comments in the chat. That's cool. But if something pops in your head tomorrow, middle of the week, just leave the comment on the video. We'll be sure to look at the comments on the video. We like when people comment on our videos, so please do that. Let other people know about the show. Let's get the subscriber base up to 100. You know what I mean? Help us get there.
Definitely.
It's been a long road for us, so help us
go check out the video that we put out last week regarding the All-Star game, the home run derby, all of that good stuff.
We got a doozy coming up for y'all next week. I ain't gonna spill the beans, but this one's a little different. I don't know if y'all ready for that.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
It's not a live show, but let's just say, you know, we got into the fashions of baseball a little bit for y'all. You know, live a little tease on the table. You know what I mean?
Right. I know what he's talking about. Can't wait for you guys to see it.
Yeah, be back here, man. And we had a cameo by a special guest. Just put it that way. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week. And listen, like we said, share the video, let people know, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace. Damn, that was fun.
Yeah, bro.
Went way
Did
longer
it
than we
did it
thought.
did it end or no?
I think I ended it. Hold on.